All right, folks. Don't know how many of you are still tuned in, but we got one more match for you. We're getting in at the halfway point. It is Bottom Frag against AXT. That is Axolut Gaming. I think that's how you pronounce it. Not too sure. Bottom Frag taking that first round 137-0, convincing victory for them here in round 2 on Dawnbreaker. I am joined by the incomparable Chadman, who you were casting by yourself today. How was that, Chad? Did you go a little bonkers talking to yourself for so long?
No, I'm used to it. I've been talking to myself for quite some time, and I kind of don't really notice anymore. It's kind of like when you move into a new house and it takes you a little while to get used to the sound of the fridge. Now I just don't hear it anymore. So
it's just
it's like white noise.
Yep,
it's white noise. Yeah.
So yes, we are starting round 2 here. This is, once again, Bottom Frag versus Axolut Gaming. For those of you who may just be joining us, although I'm sure some of you have been here for quite some time, this is the Gaming Grid's 5v5 Domination Tournament. It is the New Year's Bash, $1,500 on the line to the winner, and we've seen a veritable who's who of people join into this tournament. The top teams from Europe, including arguably, probably not even arguably, the best team in the world right now in Fnatic. Wouldn't you agree, Chadman?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they won the recent EMS competition. They have proven themselves over the years to be a team of absolutely ferocious competitiveness and talent. So, yeah, they are probably one of the strongest teams in Europe at the moment, and definitely someone to be feared. But there's also other teams out there as well that have come through. I mean, we saw a very dominant display from Meet Your Makers earlier, and they're probably one of the most consistent teams in Europe right now.
Yeah, I would certainly agree. We've seen them go head-to-head against Fnatic several times, just not quite able to get over the hump, although I believe they played them pretty close in the most recent match. But we are watching, again, Bottom Frag against AXT. And Bottom Frag, one of those teams that Brett and I had mentioned on our previous match streams as a team to watch out for. They have a ton of experience. Might be flying under the radar because not a lot of people have seen them play this yet, but I expect them to make a splash in this tournament. Although I think most people would agree it is the European tournament to win. But if any team is potentially going to give them a run for their money, it could be Bottom Frag. We're watching from Goodspeed's perspective. He's got a couple guys in front of him on the planners. He's going to fall back as they do have the BC hold. They have a huge lead from the previous round, over 150 tickets, so it's going to be a tall order for AXT to come back on this one. Now, have you seen any comebacks of that magnitude, Chadman?
I've seen a couple of comebacks in Europe where they have come back from a deficit of about 100 tickets to win it by about 5 or 6 in the end. So it is definitely possible, but based on what we've seen thus far, I would think it's pretty much unlikely, really, the way that Bottom Fraggers are actually playing at the moment. I mean, you just have to have a look at how they arranged their team. When they did the BC hold, they essentially formed that line of demarcation, that line of defense between the B and the C area to essentially hold off the AXT guys from actually pushing into the point. And now you can see essentially what they've done is they've started moving things around a little bit, and AXT have actually got into that very important point up on the balcony on the left-hand side in between the B and the C point. That is one of the most key points on the map, and it enables you to run the battle between B and C.
Yeah, absolutely. You can dictate the pace of the engagements at Bravo when you hold that upper side. It looks like it's Sealsur over there now as Bottom Frag takes control of Bravo and Charlie. But we do see Pro BJV taking control of Bravo, and they're only down by about 20 tickets now, are AXT, but they do have a ton of ground to make up. And if they go below, I believe it's the 150 ticket mark, it essentially means that Bottom Frag will win this match. They're approaching that already, and it's looking like Bottom Frag could be pulling off the triple cap to put this game out of reach early. And, you know, it's looking like AXT just not going to have it in this round. What do you think, Jamie? Do you think AXT has it? I certainly don't think so.
I mean, AXT, basically, you just saw a quick push there by Bottom Frag into the B point. It was only a single-man push, but they did exactly what a Battlefield team should do. As soon as one of their other flags came under contesting, they immediately moved to one of the other flags that they knew a lot of the team were not at. That meant that basically they knew that they would be able to essentially re-establish that burn onto that point. But the way that you're looking at Bottom Frag at the moment, the way they're rotating between the flags, the way they're forming that line of defense up against AXT, I seriously doubt whether or not AXT will actually be able to break them.
It's definitely a strong performance by Bottom Frag thus far. The tail of the tape, so to speak, in the frags department is not that big of a difference, but the teamwork aspect of Bottom Frag just much more fluid than AXT. It appears that they know the positions, they know the maps and the spawns much better than AXT does. Watch from Goodspeed's perspective, playing Ring Around the Rosie on the stairs, and he wins that one, taking down Proxenata. Some people don't realize you cannot shoot through the stairs on that side, so you can basically stare at each other until someone makes a move. He gets a nade out. He is taking Bravo from this point, getting a little bit of shots from the upper side as he does go down. And surprisingly, it looks like Bottom Frag is actually conceding that upper side, as Silser has basically been all on his lonesome over there thus far. Do you find that surprising?
Not really. I mean, the thing is, that kind of position actually is such a fantastic jump-off position. And now they literally just had Bottom Frag just had a domination cap only for a couple of seconds, but that's definitely going to help them. But essentially, you've just seen Silsword be taken down. Now, the point is that point basically means that he can run between the C and the B point, but also he can actually act as a spawn point for that team. And they've just obviously had a very advantageous spawn at the C point, but you've obviously got Goodspeed who's in there trying to defend and hold that point, and the domination cap is being re-established and locked down, and AXT are in serious trouble.
Yeah, it's a triple cap, and I am getting word from chat from Sir1, who I believe is a member of Bottom Frag. This actually is the first round, so I guess they were waiting for us to get in here, Javin. How gracious of them to do so.
What wonderful guys. Thank you, guys. We appreciate that.
And it's actually nice because, you know, we got all set up. We get to actually watch a full match. So, again, AXT is not out of it at this point, although they are nursing perhaps about a 60-ticket deficit at this point. They do need to make a move as they are triple cap, finally taking Alpha. There are 3 of them over there, but they need to be quick on their feet to make a move to get one of those other flags. And I think, as you were saying earlier, Bottom Frag just doing a much better time of knowing how quickly to rotate. This precious seconds count in this game, and losing tickets fast.
Definitely, especially with a full domination cap on you. Now, that's one thing to see, is that I just noticed the likes of Clorox and his teammate, Cole45, literally they saw a spawn because they were obviously pushing up towards that A point. Basically means that they were going to try and stop any spawns coming in at the A point for the opposing team. That means that they can almost, to a certain degree, control the spawns that are coming down towards the C point and then shut them down as they move into the C. So they have essentially shut down an entire attempt by AXT to take C, which is essentially textbook defense from Bottom Frag.
Yeah, these guys have a lot of experience. They've played a ton in Battlefield 4 and gotten even more reps in Battlefield 3, so they're familiar with this type of gameplay, despite the fact that Domination is a little bit different than Conquest Small World. These guys very active in the European community. They had a bit of a roster adjustment recently, as they were M5 Monster 5 previously, changing to Bottom Frag. I believe all they really did was kind of cut some players that they, I guess, didn't feel were quite up to snuff, as they really wanted to make a go at being one of the top teams in the North American community, and I think they're showing that thus far with their discipline against AXT, although admittedly I don't have a ton of experience in watching these guys.
Yeah, I mean, part of it, this is the discussions I had with Dogfoot, really, is the fact that, I mean, a lot of the top teams out there, they have good individual fraggers, like absolute monster fraggers, but what really makes a team good is the consistency with which you actually play and use those fraggers to your advantage, because as far as we're concerned, being good at Battlefield 4 is about position. It's knowing where to be at the right time, when to push at the right time, when to move to the flag at the right time. It's about timing and it's about position.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Sometimes you got to know when to be patient. Sometimes you got to know when to be aggressive. And Bottom Frag is showing that they have a good sense of when to do both of those thus far, timing their pushes extremely well and getting set up and holding when they need to, as they are doing just that, holding the Alpha Bravo burn, which is typically the easiest one. Looks like they're trying to get someone over onto the high side, but Clark is kind of caught on the stairs there, can't quite cross the street. As he's getting heavily pushed, gets taken down by AXT. Looks like Sickwit is still there on Bravo, gets a nade out. Oh, but he eats a nade of his own, dropping a med pack, desperately trying to stay alive. There's all kinds of nades in his face. He's getting flanked. I don't think he sees it, and he does go down from behind. So a nice coordinated attack on the Bravo by AXT, as they really need to make up some ground here, as this deficit is getting huge and will be tough to overcome moving into round 2.
Definitely. Now, one thing you did see there is the fact that there was a push by AXT onto that point, but if anything, I think it was a little bit of a bluff, as they're actually moving in to try and take that A point. But unfortunately, it looks like you've got the Bottom Frag guys have actually now started taking that A point. You've got Goodspeed, who's essentially dealing with Oku Thor and Seal Saw from AXT, who are trying to deal with that particular balcony. Now, if they can shut down that balcony holder, then they'll be in a stronger position to actually control who owns that B point.
And we're watching from Cold 45's perspective. He is taking some pot shots at that upper balcony side. Just trying to keep him honest. I don't think he's expecting him taken out. Maybe allowing his teammates to make a move, as we do see Sickwit moving up as he's getting some suppressing fire from Colt, as he does actually get the headshot from way downtown. That shot was from another zip code. And quickly, Colt does see that A is getting burned. It is neutralized, and he is moving around to the backside, but he's wisely playing it a bit patiently, perhaps waiting on a spark from his teammate as he falls off the ledge there. I don't think he meant to do that. He does have a teammate there. This is a coordinated attack. He's not just running in there all willy-nilly. Actually, it looks like he is going to rotate and let his teammate handle that. And it looks like they do retake control of A, so a nice job, nice awareness by Bottom Frag to make sure they maintain control of Alpha and Bravo here.
Yeah, now one thing obviously that you notice there is the fact that even though the point was actually held by, the C point was held by AXT, is they essentially still ensured that one guy continued to float in between the B and C point, and also then you also had another guy who moved back from A in towards the B point just in case the AXT decided to push into the B. That left obviously the 3 guys remaining to ensure that the survival of the A point was actually, as far as they're concerned, in their ownership. And so now you can see it looks like Goodspeed is in the process of trying to regain ownership of that, and is running up against 2 people. If he can manage to turn this around and shut down that push, which is exactly what's happened, AXT now serious trouble.
And the thing I'm liking from Bottom Frag is when they do make a move to take a flag back, even if they know that there are guys there and they are taking it, they do a good job of not pushing in bunches. They kind of take the angles. They're very smart about getting a crossfire on a point to potentially take a guy by surprise. So even if the guy's aware of the one man on one side and able to take him down, you've got the guy pushing from the opposite side to kind of clean things up and potentially get that revive. So extremely good coordination just on an individual level between 1 and 2 and even 3 guys on the pushes from Bottom Frag. Really liking what I'm seeing from them.
Yeah, one of the things that's very important that a lot of teams do in Battlefield is that if you're the person who's been shot at from multiple directions, choosing your target is going to be a very difficult situation. So they basically engineer it in such a way that when they attack that flag, they usually attack from 2 directions, and that's what's giving them a massive advantage over their enemy right now.
Yeah, the positioning game, as you said earlier, these guys know their spots. They get to them quickly with their rotations, and it's paid off big as they are looking to go into round 2 with over 100 ticket lead, and that's going to be tough to overcome. Like you said, not completely out of the realm of possibility, but you got to think with the way that they're playing now, it's only going to improve, especially in the frag. Goodspeed, 21-5. The rest of his teammates all in double digits, although Sickwit only 11-11, or excuse me, Clorox only 11-11, but there you have it, a 117 ticket victory for Bottom Frag over AXT in the first round.
Yeah, good display there. I mean, look at Goodspeed. Look at that score, that kill-death ratio, 22-5 in a competitive match. That's pretty impressive. I mean, he turned out to be one of the key players with respect to that. But did you notice right at the end, as soon as they got that BC hold, they immediately moved their entire defensive line forward to actually intercept the AXT guys and form that defensive line, that line in the sand per se, to hold them back for however long was needed. They probably weren't even looking at the clock. They probably weren't even looking at the tickets. It was literally almost automatic. Get into the defensive line, hold the defensive line, stop the enemy coming through.
And that is a sign of a truly top-tier team that knows to stay disciplined. I mean, you almost want to unbind that scoreboard. I mean, I've heard a lot of players who actually do that because, you know, as competitive players, we kind of have a tendency to want to take a peek every now and then to see how we're doing. Like, oh, check me out top fragging. But these guys, obviously, they're not concerned with that. All they're concerned with is, what is my role and what should I be doing at this very moment? What is going on? Where do I need to be? And they are doing just that and looking to cruise through this match and move on to the next round.
Definitely. Now, obviously, you can see that the teams have actually changed. So obviously, you've got the bottom frag guys and now in the more difficult position of A. Now, what we've seen from a lot of teams now, when they move out from A, because obviously what they've got to do is they've got to move up that road and then basically double back and move into the A point. A lot of teams we've actually seen either split as a 3-2 or 4-1. So you essentially see that they know that they're going to lose that B point first. Do they go down for the C point, or do they decide to move into the B point? They usually only send one person to A because they know that they will not be able to push into that A point quick enough. It's going to be interesting to see what bottom frag decide to do, Mess.
Yeah, this will be interesting. I've seen a couple of, I guess, what I would consider maybe unorthodox pushes. I saw Exertus and I believe one other team, I can't remember who. They sent 2 in the trench and went extremely wide around C and actually pushed onto the upper side of Bravo and flanked behind the other team. As we do see a 4-1 push, like you said, we do have Clorox holding the high side, although we do have 2 from AXT running through the trench. Let's see if Clorox is onto him. I'm not sure if he knows they're there. He sees them, takes down 1. That's Sealer going down. I don't know if he knows there's a second. He is not looking in that direction. He could get shot from behind. Let's see what happens. He's getting shots out. It's not looking like he... Oh, there he's taking some shots, and he does finally go down from behind. So nice patience by AXT with a surprising 2-man push through trench. Let's see what they make of it. They're going to come up from behind Alpha from 2 different sides. I'm not sure if I agree with this. I think they should have stuck together here. They're way too spread out. Although we do see Edenshow taking down 1. Oh, he cannot take down the second as Clorox cleans it up on the Alpha flag. He's going to revive his teammate. I believe that's Tailspin. And we do see Bottom Frag take control of the Alpha Bravo burn, cleaning things up and trying to set that line in the sand. But surprisingly, Sickwit already in a position to push on C. They are not content with holding those 2. Well, no, it doesn't look like he's going for it. He is going to come back to Bravo because he sees that they've got 3 or 4 strong coming from Highway through cut there. AXT needing to get onto Bravo. We do have one guy, that's Okathor, coming through the trench along with Proxenata. You know, AXT, I'm not really sure what they're doing. They're going to take a lot of time to make a move, a bit indecisive here. What do you think, Chapman?
Yeah, I think their opening move may have been a mistake, because what happened is that essentially the 2 people that they would have used to take that B point, they actually moved up to try and take the A. Because of the nature of how the spawn would have occurred for the bottom frag guys, basically means that they would have had the majority of their forces in the A area. So the chances of them getting shut down at the A point was more likely than the B point. And as a result of that, it meant that their enemy team was able to get the hold onto the B point, get it there established, and basically shut down any attempts to move into B, which basically means that AXT, as a result of their opening, they were on the back foot immediately.
Yes, and they they had a decent push there on Alpha, a calculated push with 4 guys, but just like that, Bottom Frag, a textbook rotation to flip-flop and take Bravo and Charlie, and already you can see them trying to set up a line again, that line of demarcation, as Chadman has been pointing out so many times. These guys know their spots regardless of which 2 flags they hold, and they get into them quickly. As we do see, it looks like we are getting a back spawn from Okathor, moving up onto Charlie right by the line. He does have good speed moving in on him, and he does get killed from above, and just, again, another quick rotation by Bottom Frag, not letting AXT get any momentum, although we do see Bottom Frag a bit bunched up in the center of the map. Like to see them spread out a little bit.
AXT just got completely wiped.
Not a good sign, as they were already down 117 tickets and burning fast. They only have less than 20 at this point before Bottom Frag will secure this victory. And again, just see that textbook spread out for them. No chance for AXT to get through them without fragging them. And at this point, they're just losing those frag battles. They just can't win their gun battles at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely the case. Now, obviously, you've got the likes of Goodspeed, obviously the top fragger from the previous round, out there on the balcony on the right-hand side. And what's happening is that AXT are essentially getting bunched up. Now they're starting to spread out. They've done a couple of good kills at the B point, but now they're starting to move up. But the problem is as they move up, you're going to have the likes of Goodspeed and also Sickwit moving in towards that B point, and then basically getting him. At the moment, I feel sorry for Proex Zenithor, because he basically just got shot from 3 directions, didn't stand a chance. And that's pretty much what is really doing it as far as bottom frag are concerned.
And that's kind of been the tale of the match. As when you see it, they are securing their victory. They won by 117 tickets in the previous round, so now that AXT is down below that mark, Bottom Frag taking a victory comfortably. But we will play it out, as is tradition. Playing for pride now at this point. But I gotta say, I'm impressed with Bottom Frag's performance thus far, staying extremely disciplined, and I expect them to go potentially pretty far in this tournament.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they do when they come up against some of the really, really good teams, as there's going to be obviously some real hard hitters in there. And obviously, I would say they have unfortunately outclassed their opponents on this particular one. Like you said, their discipline has been fantastic. Their organization and their arrangement for the actual spread across and actually covering those points where they basically decided, you know, as a good Battlefield team would do, As soon as one flag is being contested, you move immediately to the other because you know there's not going to be a huge amount of defense there. So everything they've done has pretty much been textbook. But the question is, when they come up against a harder team, are they going to be able to actually adapt that on the fly? That's the big question that's going to be approaching those guys.
I think that's an extremely good point that you make there. I think the difference between some of the really top European teams, the Fanatics, the MYMs, the Epsilons, and even to a lesser extent the Exertus EU, is that those guys play at such a quicker pace, both on their rotations, their setups, everything. Obviously they're all great fraggers. They wouldn't be on those teams to begin with. But what separates these best teams from the rest of the pack, as you said earlier, is their battlefield knowledge, their positioning, and their teamwork. And I think they're just on another level than most of the NA teams. The only team that I've seen play them close is Exertus NA. We saw a match against Epsilon and Sivo. And of course, Epsilon was playing with a ping, kind of deficit, obviously dealing with the higher ping, Exertus playing on their home court, but still able to defeat the top team in the North American community. And that's generally been the story thus far when NA faces up against those top European teams. Just can't seem to keep up with the pace and the speed of their rotations and their positioning.
Indeed, yes. You seem to have some brackets over the top of the game, apparently.
Oh, let me drop that. Sorry, I meant to show it temporarily just to see who was moving on. Didn't mean to block everything. There we go.
So, yeah. So now you can see, obviously, you've got AXT now trying to move in towards that C point. You've got F Colder 45 moving in, taking down that point almost immediately. He's going to then get the ownership of that BC straight back into its position. Chlorix is overlooking him, so basically you've got two guys working together to capture that point. You've even got Tailspin, who's starting to put uncomfortable pressure onto the A point. He doesn't have to kill people. He doesn't have to do anything other than just tie people up. Focus their attention away from where it needs to be, which is the B point right now.
Yeah, absolutely. All you need to do at this point when you hold the burn is the onus is on the other team. It's on them to come to you and take control. So you really don't even have to kill them. Keep them busy, keep them back, and maybe your teammate could get that flank and take them out, as we watch from Cold 45's perspective, cleaning up things on Bravo and securing it for his team. Bottom Frag holding Bravo and Charlie at this point. And it looks like we do have a backspawn, Okathor and Pro BJV spawning, but quickly Bottom Frag rotating and is in position to contest this backspawn. It doesn't look like AXT is going to be able to make anything of it as they do go down. We do see Tailspin moving into Alpha, being a bit aggressive for his team, and perhaps, nope, he's falling back, content to hold Bravo and Charlie for his team, as it looks like they do realize some of those AXT guys are on the far side. Okathor going down, can't stay up for too long. These guys just, every time they run across the Bottom Frag players, they just get taken down with the quickness, and really not much more to say other than they're just getting out-fragged, outclassed at this point, and Bottom Frag looking strong.
Yeah, they're looking very strong at the moment, and I'm just looking across these guys to see what sort of loadouts they're running. You're seeing a sort of combination of the likes of the Ace 23s you kind of expect, but also obviously there's been a little bit of an AEK in there as well, and I think I saw M416 as well being used, but I don't know if it's actually weapon choice that's causing the difference, or whether or not it's actually a case of these guys are actually got superior aim and they're actually winning most of their battles. Obviously weapon choice, it depends on what you're comfortable with. A lot of people tend to use the Scar because of the additional firepower and the damage that thing does at range. So at the moment you can see now, again, that point has been continually established. Clorops and Sickwit all rotating round. And it's these random spawns that enable people to spawn behind capture points that can change the dynamic of this game so quickly.
Yeah, and just like that, we're whittling down the final 5 tickets as Bottom Frag is going to take this one comfortably. It's going to be a 260 ticket victory over AXT. Really not that huge of a difference in the frags, just a lot better performance from Bottom Frag on their rotations, on their positioning, really everything all around. But as you said, Chad, it's going to be interesting to see how they square off against some of those tougher teams in the later rounds. They could face off against some of those European powerhouses. Will they have enough? They have the fragging ability. Is their positioning, is their teamwork enough to compete with those guys of that upper level?
Yeah, essentially, as far as they're concerned, they have, based on their performance and how they're organising themselves, then yeah, they have had a little bit of an easy ride. I suppose that's a slightly unfair way of putting it, but that is essentially the fact, as you can see, obviously, from the difference in the scores. But obviously, against serious powerhouses of gaming, like even, like you're saying, the European teams, or even Exertus or Nexus or something like that. People who have been around for a long time and know how to play these kind of games. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not that discipline actually stays as focused as it has been in this particular match, because that will be a testament to the character of the players, how well you do when things are basically being flushed down the toilet.
That's an excellent point. When the crap hits the fan, how do you respond? We see a lot of teams that do a great job, front running, but it's the way they respond when their back's against the wall or when the chips are down that really defines them. I mean, when we see some teams that kind of crumble in those situations, so it'll be interesting to see how Bottom Frag fares. But I think that is going to do it. We got Bottom Frag taking the victory comfortably over AXT. They will move on to round 3, which will take place on Monday. Looking at the bracket, they are going to take on Vivacity Esports, who took out Misanthropy in a pretty comfortable fashion, much like Bottom Frag did here. I would expect Bottom Frag to take out Vivacity in that next round, but certainly not an easy task. I think that'll be a good test for them to see, how do they respond when a team really comes out and hits them in the mouth. I don't expect them to lose, but certainly not going to be an easy coast through the park like this match was. Moving on.
That's exactly what it's going to be, because essentially what makes a good team good, and you've seen this with a lot of European teams, is when the odds are against them, when the chips are down. How do they fight back, and do they win when they fight back? I've seen Fnatic turn it around. I've seen Epsilon turn it around. I've seen MYM turn it around, and it's because of that determination and that kind of experience that they know it's not over until every single ticket is gone. There is still a chance. And it's that kind of determination and that kind of tenacity that you need to become a top team.
Absolutely. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Fnatic come back on MYM recently? I believe I was talking to Brett, who told me that I think MYM had their backs against the wall and potentially could have won it, dethroned Fnatic, so to speak. But as you said, the perseverance won out for Fnatic, and they were able to come back against, not just a good team, but a great team, perhaps the second best team in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's essentially what is at the heart of a good team. It's that ability to turn things around. When things are going your way and you're coasting, everything's comfortable, you're busy, doing whatever, scratching your bottom, picking your nose, whatever it is, when you're comfortable, it's when the chips are down, it's when things are against you, is whether or not you can actually turn it around. And like I said, all the good teams out there, no matter what game they play, whether it be Battlefield, whether it be LoL, whatever, it doesn't matter. That is the key part of a good team. Can they turn it around when the chips are down?
So we will see if Bottom Frag is able to do that in future rounds. Once again, thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks, Chadman, for casting with me. I know you went solo, so it's probably nice to actually talk to a human being for a little bit, right?
What are humans? I'm not familiar with this concept.
But once again, Gaming Grid's 5v5 Domination Tournament will continue on Monday. It'll be round 3 on, I think it is Paracel Storm.
Ooh.
It's a bit of a frag-heavy, non-traditional map with a lot of open space, a lot of buildings. It'll be interesting to see how that shakes out, but should be a lot of great games for that.
Yeah. That's a good map. A lot of what we've seen, especially in European competition, is the control of the map is usually done via the buildings. Whoever owns those buildings tends to own the map, because it enables you to transition very easily between the A and the B and the C points. And we've also seen other teams run engineers, where they basically take the attitude that if you can't have that building, or if I can't have that building, neither can you, and they blow massive holes in it.
Yeah, eventually seeing those buildings crumble early on
Exactly.
in the game. So a little bit of a tactical edge, maybe a different dynamic that we don't see, taking some of the battlefield destruction into account in that match. So
Absolutely, and that's another thing, is that one thing that I've seen over the course of many, many years, I mean, you've seen this in TF2, you've seen this in Tribes, you've seen this in Counter-Strike, you've seen it in so many ways, is the approach that the European teams take to a game is always different from the approach that the Americans take, or the the North Americans, the Canadians, all those kind of people. There is a difference across the pond, so to speak, of the approach that how certain teams affect certain games. Like, for example, with some of the Europeans, they may start off a little cautiously, but then start getting aggressive. Whereas from the point of view of the Americans, it may start off very aggressively and then move back to a slightly more defensive posture. These are the kind of things that we're going to see with American teams and European teams going up against each other in this competition.
Yeah, absolutely. That clash of game styles, kind of very, very different. Be interesting to see how they shake up.
Absolutely,
I think with the European teams, it's interesting that it seems like they are prepared for all scenarios, whereas the North Americans might not be. Simply given that, for the most part, they've had more reps, more tournaments, more teams, everything. They get more looks than most of the North American teams, save for those that actually do participate in the European community.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, it's the whole thing about ping and all the rest of it is a valid issue. But yeah, the Europeans essentially have more battle time in competitive aspects than I would say the European community, the American communities, and the people around that area. So that may be an advantage. It may not be. But we'll just have to wait and see. But either way, no matter what happens, you're going to see some absolutely fantastic games from some superb teams. And we've seen some since Battlefield 4's release. I have been honoured to shoutcast some of the most amazing matches between teams where literally they've got it down to like one ticket at the end of it. And it's hard not to have a heart attack when you're casting something like that.
Oh, I've gone back from some of those close games that I've done, and I'm almost embarrassed at how giddy and squealy I get. I'm like, wow, I really need to turn my mic down. I'm killing all my headphones users because I'm getting so excited. But as a fan of the game, I'm sure you can agree. You just can't help yourself. I mean, that is why we play competitively. That's why we shoutcast. That's why we watch, because that's exactly what we want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, speaking from the point of view of the heart rates of the players involved, they probably would not prefer that situation. But speaking as a viewer and as a shoutcaster, it's perfect. That's exactly the kind of thing, because it's from moments like that the drama occurs and the stories come from, and essentially that the history of competitive play in Battlefield comes from.
It's where heroes and goats are made. And we will certainly be seeing some heroes and goats be made in the later rounds of this tournament. So again, thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll be back. I'm not sure who exactly will be back, but someone will be casting on this channel and the Gaming Grids 2 channel on Monday for the next rounds of the Gaming Grids 5v5 Domination Tournament. Once again, I am Mess, casting with Chadman. Thanks very much for casting with me, Chad. I certainly enjoyed it.
Been a pleasure.
And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good one.